It's hard for me to count back how long it's been. It makes me feel old. I've been practicing for almost 20 years now. All of it in tax, most of it in international tax. I've always liked the idea of being a lawyer, even when I was little. Loved all those legal dramas, big Law and Order fan. And so at some point I thought, it might be interesting to be a lawyer. And I went to law school. I was lucky enough to go to a school that I really liked, had great teachers who really taught me a lot, inspired me. Fell in love with tax, and so I've been in tax for 20 years. So we have to continuously learn. And as you progress in your career, sometimes you feel like, well, I know all this stuff. But the reality is that you don't. There's always something to learn. And really the best way to learn is to teach it. And so I like to teach because it gives me another chance to learn it again. And I also think it's important for all the attorneys to be educated. All the issues that we face in tax right now, it's so globalized. There's so many nuances. And if you miss a step, it can be pretty significant. So I'm happy to be able to educate folks in hopes that it'll be helpful. Before we were lawyers, we're people, right? I think the best advice I got was one of my mentors at one of my first jobs. And she told me, never live with a clenched fist. Always keep it open, because if you clench it, you might not lose what you have, but you're also not going to gain. So she always said, keep an open hand, open mind, and so you can circulate. And that I think is very important, because sometimes as we practice law, we think about just pigeonholing ourselves into an area that we like, or our position that we think is right. But you have to keep an open mind, because then you're not going to improve on your positions. And I get asked all the time by young lawyers, so how do you balance life? How do you balance work? What does that mean? Like, how do I get to be this? How do I do this? And the reality is, recently I read one of Charlie Chaplin's quotes, and he said basically, don't dream about another life, right? And so you have to make your own life. It's really whatever you want your life to be. My balance doesn't mean it's balanced for you. So it has to be whatever your facts are. You have to balance your life based on your facts. And so one of the advices that I give to a lot of my mentees and I quote Emerson, is the fact that when you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen, but you have to be purposeful. So make a decision about the life that you want, the things that you want to do. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Just worry about what you need to do and what you want to do, and then pursue it. Fun fact. You're asking a tax lawyer for a fun fact, which doesn't come naturally. I guess, well, lately on the weekends, I Uber. I have basically two customers, my daughter and my son. And sometimes I also get to be their water girl at their fencing competitions and gymnastics competitions. So my entire weekends are pretty occupied in that way. One of the most fun things, I don't know if this is a fun fact, one of the fun things that I did recently was I was in Norway, and I got to visit with a pack of wolves. And it was a really fascinating experience. I got to sit down with them, and I had to just sit quiet until they were willing to come and interact with me. And they did, and I even got a kiss.